Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Barber, and I am going to give you a quick how to use the Storyboard, that website, to create your Journey Through the Rock Cycle cartoon. So this is what Canvas will look like. We have a whole section of links towards the bottom here that is specifically for the Storyboard, that project, including the actual link to the website where you would log in. Here's the rubric. Here is a video that we're going to show in class. It's like Timmy's journey through the rock cycle. It's a video version of what you're doing, just to kind of give you an idea. This is a really good interactive rock cycle diagram that might help you fill in some of the details of your story. And then here is where you're ultimately going to, after you download your storyboard, you're going to submit it through Canvas when you are finished. Okay. So the storyboard, that website here. So here's the storyboard, that website. And when you get to it, you will need to log in. And you will need to log in through Google. And the very first time we will register, we'll do that in class. But we always then should be able, after you register, to log in through Google. So what you're going to see when you log in, and now when I'm currently making this video right now, I do not have the paid subscription, so it might look a tad different. We will have the purchase subscription, which means we have a lot more flexibility in what we can do. But you're going to basically start a new storyboard. So you would hit, there's usually these RNG buttons that say create a storyboard. Okay. Now, one of the first things you'll want to do is you will want to go and at the very bottom here, you want to change the layout. So the layout feature, because you're going to have to do a lot of storytelling, you're going to either want the title in the cell or the cell in description, so that, and really this one's your best bet here, so that your images are up here and then your text is down here. Okay. The other thing you're going to want to do is, of course, add and delete, or I should say add, you're going to add cells. So you're going to click this add/delete cells. The minimum to get a B is 3 by 5. Okay. 3 by 4, I believe, is a C, and anything less than that is basically an unfinished project. This is not, because this is the free version right now. It's only going to let me do 6 slides total. But you need at least a 3 by 5. You could always add more later if you needed to. I would recommend, though, not going more than 3 across, just for ease of like reading it online on your computer screen. If it's more than 3 across, it's not as easy to read and preview. So no more than 3 across, but you can add as many rows as you need to. Okay. So again, you're going to need to do the 3 by 5 just to start you off, and then you're going to update your storyboard. Because I'm on the free version right now, I can only do a maximum of 6 slides. The thing here is that you have all these options up here, these topics for the background scenes that you can use. We find that there are 2 that really apply to this project based on the fact that it's outdoors and it's the rock cycle. You don't need cities and towns and people, really. You need either the country and rustic. This has a lot of outdoor scenes. But really the outdoor one is your best bet, okay? Because right off the bat, I'm seeing some rivers, I'm seeing some ice, etc., beaches, and these are all going to be part of your story most likely. So, for example, let's say on your document, and that's this, so you collected these details in class. Maybe you began your adventure at the river, and then you went from there. So, I would start off with a river scene. All right, and I'm just clicking and dragging that in, and it fills the box. All right, and then maybe after that river, you got washed up onto the shoreline. Then I would find this nice little, well, not really a beach shoreline necessarily, but you could be creative with your wording. And let's see, this one looks a little bit better. Here we go. Okay, this more looks like a river or like a lake area, freshwater. So. Although, of course, rivers do eventually lead to the ocean, most likely. So, uh, so what you have here is the beginning stages of your story here, and you'll go in and you're going to make it into a story. not just I started at the river, then I went to the beach, then I went this, then I went there. Like if you use your story that's printed here, this has very, very basic, minimal detail. You need to add a lot of detail in, like you're actually telling a story. You're taking this and you're filling in a whole bunch of details and adding in the vocabulary and the rock types whenever applicable. So what I want to do here is I want to show you the rubric and pull this up. Always consult the rubric. You need to get an A. You need to take 12 steps of your journey. You have 12 steps on the worksheet, and you're going to expand on a few of them so you have 15 boxes, which is why I suggested starting with 3 by 5 to get an A. So you have 15 total boxes in your story. So you've taken some of the steps and you're expanding in more detail, which is very easy to do. You are accurately identifying the earth material. Are you starting as magma? Are you starting as lava, sediment, or actual rock, etc., as you go through your story? Okay, if you turn into a rock type, igneous, metamorphic, or sedimentary, you need to tell us that. You need to describe the processes that are leading up to that. And those processes are down here: weathering, erosion, melting, cooling, etc., etc. It could be heat and pressure, compacting and cementing. These are all processes that can change you through your journey. Okay, so you're talking about all the process vocabulary, and you're also adding in some of your rock types along the way. You're not necessarily going to form into a new type of rock every single step, but as you go, and if you do turn into a type of rock, you're going to need to make sure you tell us which kind are you. Okay, so other things that the storyboard can do, so you would type down in here and you can change your font. Don't get fancy, make sure it's easy to read. If you're cramming a whole bunch of text into this box here and it's really, really small because it doesn't fit, that would be one of those slides where you can expand into the next slide. You want to make it easy to read for your teachers. Keep your font color black. Don't get crazy with the font itself or the color. Just stick to the basics. Alrighty. You can also add text bubbles in the actual story. Okay. So let's say I'm starting as a sediment. Okay, so let's say you're starting in the river and you're floating down the river. You're probably a tiny fragment called a sediment. Give your sediment or rock a name. Make it creative. This is where you really get, into, you show us your personality and your creative side. Okay, so now I need a piece of rock. I need some sediment here to add in here. So up top, I'm going to click on the search button and I'm going to type in rock. And again, you're going to have unlimited access here. And let's say I'm, just this little rock or a piece of sediment. I'm going to be a lot smaller than that. And you're floating down the river, and here I am. Okay. So you will need to still, of course, you're talking down here. If you are flowing and you're moving down the river, that is a process. That's a process called erosion. Erosion is when sediments get transported. So this is where I would talk about how I'm beginning my journey in a river as a sediment and I'm getting eroded down the river, and then eventually I'm going to get deposited on this little shoreline right here. So erosion, deposition, these are vocab words that you should have in there. Okay. You can also search for, well, I should say, if you go back to your scenes and you're looking for something like, for example, let's say you started in a volcano. You can type in volcano here. Okay, and you can get like a background scene volcano, but this one, like when you insert it this way, you have to resize it. It doesn't automatically fill the space. Or you could upload your own files. So if you find a great image on the internet of a real volcano, that would be really nice. You could then save that and then upload that right here. You have to click this upload button. And again, because I don't have the purchase version at this time of making this video, I can't do that right now. But all you have to do is click upload and then have them saved to your drive or your computer itself or your drive. And you click that upload button, and then they show up top, and then you just drag them down. Okay. So you could do all of those things. You can delete things as you go. There's a little red X. You can add in, people if you really wanted to. Again, this is not really about people. It's about rocks and sediments and all that. Okay. Please make sure this is not a program that auto saves. So as you go, I would say after each slide that you complete, you want to hit the save button at the bottom. Now, if the first time, you save this, it's going to have you title it. And I think you can always change this later. My incredible rock cycle journey. Okay. And then, you can put by and then your name. This is a good spot to put your name in there as well. Okay. And then you would save your storyboard. So sometimes that does take a minute or two. If you've done a lot, if it's slow, you wait for it to save. Okay. So then once it's there, the first time you save it, and let's say you log out and you go back in and you open it, it's going to look like this. You have to scroll to the bottom and hit edit. And that's how you get back into edit mode. Okay. So again, you're describing things along the way. You can talk about how you began your journey in the river. I am a small sediment or particle of rock. Again, you can define things along the way. And you're going to define things. Okay, so I began my journey in the river. I am a small sediment or particle of rock. I am getting eroded down the river. Erosion is when sediments get moved from one spot to another. So I'm putting in, what am I? And during this stage, I'm a sediment. I'm not formed into a rock yet. And I'm talking about this process of erosion. I'm defining it. So you want to define your vocab as you go. And then if I were continuing here, eventually the river, I might get deposited on a shoreline. Deposition is a process. Sediments start getting deposited and they start layering up on the shoreline, and they can eventually then compact and cement together to form a sedimentary rock. So that's where I would go next with my story, because this is where my story began. Every story is unique. You are not all starting in the river. Some of you are going to start in Earth's interior. Some of you are going to be coming out of a volcano. You're really, again, showing your creativity and kind of telling your journey, your story as you go through the rock cycle. Again, the most important thing is the rubric. Make sure you're looking through this rubric along the way. It gives you an idea of where you would fall on your score. Okay, and this is overall in the end a 30-point project. When you do finish, you will, when you save it, and in this case, I'm going to save and exit because I'm done for now. If you were still working in the middle of a class, you could hit save and continue. But what you will eventually do, you will have a final product here, and you will download it. And when you download it, you're going to do a PDF. And then that PDF is what you would then submit on Canvas in the actual submission spot on Canvas. Okay? So let us know if you have any questions, and I hope this helps you get started on your journey. Remember to use these resources on Canvas to help you. There's a great rock cycle interactive tutorial, or not an interactive tutorial. Well, there's the one we already did, but there's this website here, this rock cycle diagram right here. This is a very basic one. Alrighty, and that could help you, kind of visualize what's going on to you. Again, there's no set path on the rock cycle. Each journey will be unique depending on the circumstances involved. Alrighty, so I hope this helps. Have a wonderful time building your story, and we can't wait to see it. Have a good day.